Hi not board gamers, and welcome back to Not Board Gaming. I'm your host, I'm Mark, and do I have a treat for you today, because today I'm going to be previewing Senjutsu, Battle for Japan from Stone Sword Games, and it hits Kickstarter on the 19th of October. The link will be in the description below. Now, Stone Sword Games invited me to Nottingham, where they're based, a few months ago to play an earlier iteration of this game. And we met at the Board Game Cafe and I played through Senjutsu, and I've got to tell you, I was utterly blown away at the time. In fact, I think my exact words were, "This game is effing amazing," and it truly is. Now, of course, this is still in the development phase, this is still a prototype, so there's still more development to be done, but even now I can see the iteration from when I played it back in kind of July time to where we are now in October, and just exactly what's happened and exactly how the game is growing, and it is an absolutely fantastic game. So, what is Senjutsu Battle for Japan? In Senjutsu Battle for Japan, you're going to play as a samurai warrior, and the game plays as either 1 to 4 players, or one player with either one AI or against multiple AIs, and a little bit more on that in a bit. And it's an arena style combat game, but unlike any arena style combat game you've seen before, because generally those are about kind of going in, guns blazing, trying to get as many hits as possible and down your enemy and your foe as quickly as possible. No, Senjutsu is different. You see, Senjutsu means sage techniques, and that's exactly what this game is. It's an almost Zen-like experience as you use the hex on the board to maximise your positional play so that you can start delivering some hardy blows and some hefty blows, and maybe even the killer blow to your enemy or enemies. And all the while, they're doing the same. They're trying to traverse you, trying to get into the best position possible to kind of defeat you. So what is the preface for Senjutsu Battle for Japan? It says here, the centuries-old authority of the Ashikaga shogunate has collapsed, casting feudal Japan into a brutal civil war. Clan has turned upon clan as daimyos, local liege lords, struggle to accumulate power and prestige. Each player controls a samurai, a skilled warrior pledged to the service of a daimyo and their clan. Their duty is to defeat any enemy that threatens their lord's ambitions and take their head for his pleasure. Blood will be spilt, and great warriors will fall in this battle for Japan. So, Senjutsu Battle for Japan, as I mentioned, is an arena combat game, and here you have the board itself, and you can see it's made up into a number of hexes. You're going to place your warrior on the board, and you can choose with the 4 that I've got, but I know they're designing many more as well, 1 of 4 warriors here. We have Yuki Ogimaru, who's the student. We have Taira Hirotoki, who's a sensei. We have Tokikachi, who's a warrior, and we also have Sakuma Kagemori, who's a ronin. Each one plays ever so slightly different because they have these, what's called a kami tree, and you get to kind of move your kami marker around on there, which will open up certain bonuses on cards, because you are going to be playing a number of cards. You see, it is a card-based game. You're going to start the card with either a pre-designed deck of 40 cards, or there's also a deck construction element here as well, so you can start designing your own decks, which is a really, really exciting thing to do. That means each gameplay is going to be truly unique. You see, these are your ability cards, and they represent your attacks and your defences and your mental preparations, and therefore they're going to get you through the game. But because that is 40 strong, and you're going to shuffle that, you don't know in which order those cards are going to come out. The aim of the game is to defeat your opponent or opponents by delivering a certain number of wounds, and each opponent will have a different number of wounds that you can deliver. Once you've delivered that maximum number, that's it, you have won that opponent, and that is either going to come in the form of actual wounds, which are these here, okay, and you're going to, when you strike a successful blow against your opponent, or vice versa, they strike one against you, you're going to take an actual wound, or a bleeding wound. And what happens here is it counts as a wound, and you have to discard the top card of your deck at the start of each turn. So what that does is it starts cycling through your deck fairly quickly. You see, if you get to the end of your deck and you haven't won, that's it, that's game over. The beauty about the game is you can set it up and each game will play in about 15 or 20 minutes. That's right, 15 or 20 minutes. I played about 6 or 7 games of this on the bounce almost every time I've had it on the table, and I've had a uniquely different experience each and every time. Okay, so I've got the game up set for a solo game, and I'm just going to do it against one singular AI for this particular playthrough, but bear in mind, as I mentioned earlier, you can play against multiple AIs, and trust me, that really changes the game a hell of a lot. Playing against 2 AIs just creates this entirely different strategic and tactical experience. So I'll go through what's here. Over here we've got a couple of reference cards. They just tell you the various moves. And we have 3 decks here. They have the stun deck, and that's if your character or the opponent's character gets stunned. We have the bleeding wound, as I mentioned earlier. That means that you have to discard the top card. If you get one of those, you have to discard the top card from your deck every turn. And then we have the wounds, and bear in mind you're limited to how many wounds you can have. I'm going to be playing as Tokikachi, and it says here that my starting advantage is 4. I'll talk about that in a sec. My hand limit size is 5, and my wound limit is 5, so I can take 5 wounds and then I die. A quick run through there on turn order. You draw a card to your hand, you play a card face down. It doesn't really matter in the solo game, and I'll explain how that works. You reveal at the same time, resolve card actions in speed order, and then discard used card face up. Here is my Kami tree. You can see you've got these little markers. Bear in mind, as I say, these are prototypes, so they will obviously be better components. Not these aren't any good in the finished game. And it starts off in this position here, and I'm going to get the opportunities as I play cards to move up the various Kami, and they will give me certain bonuses on cards if I'm in that Kami, that particular stance there. Here we have a samurai card, so I'm going to draw 5 cards into my hand due to my hand size, but I'm also going to have this samurai card. Now, what happens when you normally play a card is you're going to discard it after it's been used, but your samurai card always goes into your hand. So let's just go through how cards actually work. In fact, I'll take another card from here and show you. So the first thing to know up at the top is your speed number. This is here. This is number 9. Next to quick stab, that's the name of the card. You have a number 9. They have varying speed numbers on there. So we can see there's another 9, there's a 3. And depending on the speed order, who puts the card out with the fastest speed order, they get to go first. And this is a particular attack card here. And this here in red and green, that's if I'm in a Kami stand. So if I'm in a red Kami stand, I can, if I want to, move forward 1 space. If I'm in a green Kami stand, I can rotate 1 space. If not, and I'm directly in front of my enemy, I can do an attack. And there we go. You can see that's me with a little triangle pointing forward, and that means there's an attack. You would then also move down and do the bottom card as well. And that means if I'm in a yellow Kami stance, I would then draw 2 cards into my hand. So let's just talk about this little symbol here and what that means. If you notice at the front of every figure there's a little triangle, and that's the way they are facing. That's really important because positional play is of utmost importance in this game, and every one of them has got this little triangle. That's the way you can move, that's the way you are striking, etc. That's how you're blocking, so you need to make note of where that is at all times. So yeah, that's generally how a card works. Once I played that card, it would then go into my discard pile, not to be used again. But as I say, unless I've got a samurai card, then what the samurai card allows me to do is actually, well, you take that back into your hands and you do both those on there. But let me just show you another icon as well, which is these black lines. So I showed you the outlined one here, okay? So this outline one means that I can move 1 in any direction, and I can turn in any direction as well, up to 2. These black ones mean you have to, and sometimes that can work in your advantage. It can work against you as well. So you have to take note that sometimes the cards are going to come out with solid movement points, movement directions on there, and you have to take those. However, if they're kind of outlined, you don't have to take those. So as I say, we're going to be playing the solo game. Over here, I set up the solo deck, and we're going to be playing against Taira Hirotoki. And it says here that he's going to use solo deck cards 1 to 15. His starting advantage is 9 and his wound limit is 5. Okay, so starting advantage. Up here we have the advantage card. I'll just bring this down a little bit closer into view here. So your starting advantage is set by which character you choose. I have a starting advantage of 4, I believe, yeah? And he has a starting advantage of 9. So his marker is going to go to the top. Now that's important because that starting advantage can have significant effect on you depending on what cards are playing and what comes out on those cards. And you can actually try to get into a position where your starting advantage is greater than the other as well, so you can swap those around. Obviously if you're playing with more AIs, then that becomes a real battle, because if you all play the same speed card, then the person with the starting advantage is going to go first. So we'll just move that back over there, and that's how the starting advantage works. That may change as I play through the game. There are other things to note on the cards as well. There are certain actions which allow you to these instant cards here. You can play after an ability card is revealed. If it's got this one here, you can play an additional extra ability card. It can't be of the same type, and that's these symbols here, or you can replace a card and play it over the current card, so you can do one over that as well. And this reference card tells you all about the various things. So as I mentioned, that symbol means gain advantage, so my advantage is going to move forward. That is the speed, which changes the speed of the current card, and there's also a parry action as well. And here we go, various kami's, and then if you get that symbol, it means you return your kami ring on the character console to the Shinto gate, which is the start just there. Really important thing to notice as well is if I'm attacking and they play a block card, you can only block at the speed that the attack is. If your block card is too high, or if it's too slow, then you're not going to block that attack. That's really thematic. However, to counter that, we have cards like this. So this particular card, yeah, you can see it's an 8 or a 2. That means if they play, I've played this card, and they play an attack card anywhere between 8 or 2, I can choose the speed of that card and therefore block that attack. So it gives you a varying attack speed on there. But we will potentially see that as the game progresses. So as I say, dead easy to set up. My deck of 40 cards, my starting samurai card, my kami stance, the wound decks and the stun deck, the solo AI deck there, a solo player, and also the advantage card. So I'm set up here, so Tokikachi is set up here, and they've got a little triangle at the front, and they're going to be placing to the forward, so we'll place that there. One sec. And therefore Taira Hirotoki, I do apologise to anybody for me murdering the language, is set at the opposite end of the board. If I was playing with another AI as well, you would set them adjacent to here, so you can have one or two additional AIs and set them adjacent to it. So that's really literally the setup. I've told you about the gameplay. It's dead quick. I'm going to deal myself 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we shall start a game of Senjutsu Battle for Japan. Okay, so before we start, just talk about the solo AI and how they're going to move. They have their behaviour down here. It says they're always going to rotate to face the player, so they're always going to try and face me. They're always going to move towards my front, and then when they get close to me, they're going to move towards my player's back via the left-hand side, so they're going to come down here. And that's important because a lot of their cards will talk about striking on the right-hand side, so you have to be aware of that. So I've got my kind of 5 cards here, and we'll look at the 5 cards plus the samurai card, and we'll see what we've got. We've got a wild block, which gives me blocks in most directions. We have a dash down strike. We have a calm composure, so I can add an additional card and play up to 2 cards there. We have a wild swing, speed of 7, gives 2 damage. We have deep meditation, which allow me to move forward and then also kind of rotate to if I want to, and also draw up to 2 cards or view their hand, which is not really viable in a solo game, or switch and then switch to the yellow Kamai. And then we've got my samurai sword, which allows me to move forward, move to or draw up to 2 cards, or change my up to 1 branch, and then I'll return that. So I'm going to actually play Deep Meditation. Now for the solo game, so that's my card I've played, and you can see I played it face up. The rules for multiplayer are face down and you turn them over at the same time. But for solo, it matters not, because you're just going to draw the next card in their stack. So let me just shuffle these, and we'll draw this next card, and it says here, they are going to do a horizontal cut. So, we see here that if you look at the AI card, it's speed 6 or a speed 3. If they're 1 hex away, they're going to do the top one. If they're 3 hexes away, they're going to do this here, which says they may turn 1. Well, there's no need. He wants to face me. Then he's going to move forward 1, and then if he's going to attack me if I'm 2 hexes ahead. I'm not. Obviously, I'm more than that. So we'll move him first. So we'll do this. He's not going to turn. He's going to move forward 1 hex. So just there. Now, if he had struck me, he would also stun me as well, but he's not going to. They went first because they had the highest speed of 3. I'm going to go next with my Deep Meditation. So I can move any hex in any direction, and then I can turn up to 2. So I'm going to move kind of up to here because I want to keep him away from my side. And then I'm going to just turn that way so my arrow is facing away from him. And that's it. That's the first go done. So we put that into the discard. We put that into their discard. We draw a card. Here we go. Oh no, sorry. Haha. I almost forgot down here. I can draw up to 2 cards, so that's what we'll do. We'll draw 2 cards. 1, 2. We will then also switch to the yellow Kamai. So I've drawn my additional 2 cards. However, it's the end of the round, and therefore I have to draw back down to my base size, my base hand size, not including my samurai card. So let's just put that in my discard there. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have to get rid of 1 card. Let's see. We're going to get rid of Firm Hold. So I'm back down to 5 cards and this, and now we're on to the next round. So by drawing up to 2 cards, it gives me the ability to actually build back up my hand, but also then, of course, get rid of some cards that I don't want. So here I am, back at 5 cards plus that card. Beginning of round, I get to draw another card. So I now have 6 cards in my hand. Bear in mind, I discarded down to 5, now I'm back up to 6, and I have more to choose from here. So I'm a little bit away, I'm facing that way. What do we want to do? So I'm on the yellow Kamai. Is there anything? I've got nothing for yellow here so far. I don't want to block, I don't want to get rid of that. So the dash down strike would allow me to move forward at 6. Oh, this one's quite good, Swift Mind. There we go. This will allow me to move in any direction 2 and also then rotate 1. And then because I'm yellow on this, it will then allow me to move my Kamai up to 1 branch. And that only takes me back to the start because of how my tree works. And every tree is different. Every Kamai tree is different. The AI player doesn't get the Kamai. However, we'll play that card, Swift Mind. There we go. I'll just put my discards there. And we'll whip over his card. Oh. So he's got 6 or 2, depending if he's blocking, or he's got a 9 and I got a 9 there because they're more than 1 hex away. Now, because he's up above me in the advantage card, that means he's going to get to go first. So he's going to move 2, has to move 2 in any direction, and then he can rotate 1. Bear in mind, his aim is to kind of get either facing me or down my left hand side. So he's going to move 1, 2, and then he's going to rotate that way, so he's going to come down my left hand side there. And now it's my turn. So I get to move 2 and then rotate. So I can move 2 in any direction. I'm facing that way, 1, 2. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Let's see. 1, 2. Oh no, we'll go 1, 2. We'll just move 1. And then we'll rotate in that direction, so I'm now facing him. He's ready to come down here, but I'm now facing him. And then we got this. I get to draw up to 2 cards and move my kami up to 2 branches, up to 1 branch. That takes me back to the beginning, but it also then gives me access to there. So I'm potentially going to do that. So 1, 2 cards into that, and I'm going to move my kami there. Get rid of that. Get rid of that, and now we're on the discard phase, getting my hand back down to 5 cards. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards there. Let me just move that for a second. Wild block, that's good. Dashwood strike could be good, because that would then allow me to get him if I can play that and get in quickly. We'll get rid of calm composure, and we will get rid of... I want to keep a block card, definitely. I've got 2 dash down strikes, so we'll get rid of dash down strike. Okay, so you may think that in the early game you're just kind of getting rid of cards, but already you can see the position is becoming really, really important here now. And also in the early game, you've got to remember that the cards you get rid of, you don't get back into your hand, and that's really bloody important. So it's not just a case of positioning, but it's also making sure that you've got the right cards to actually continue and kind of win the game as you move forward. So what are we going to do then? Well, I could block, and that gives me a block, but he's going to have a 9. He gets the ability to go first. He may have a 9 card come out. We just do not know at this stage. However, if I can move forward and get a wild strike in, so I'm facing towards him, I could effectively give him 2 hits. Or, that's just 1 there. Do you know what? We're going to try with a wild swing. So that's what we're going to do. Where did I go? Wild swing. That one there. I'm going to play this card with 7 on it. Let's see if it works out in my favour. Let's turn his card over. Oh, bugger. 2 plus hexes away. So he gets to move 2. Which is not good for me. Remember, he's going to try and face me and then come around my left-hand side. So he's going to go and try and avoid me at all points. He's facing up to me. 1, 2 to there. So 1, 2 to there. And then he's going to rotate 1. So he's already moved there. This is the Zen-like thing. He's facing there. I'm facing there. My strike now becomes pointless because I cannot get him. He's already moved into a position, and this is where the real samurai battle comes in. You think, and if you watch the films, you see them kind of sizing each other up, making micro movements, trying to kind of find the best position. And just when you think you've got it, the other player finds something to oppose it. So now we move on to Wild Strike. Didn't work in my favour. Had he been there, I would have delivered 2 strikes, but he's not. So, unfortunately, I have to discard a card. So let's see what we need to discard. Remember, you can never discard your samurai card. Let's get rid of... Let's get rid of Horizontal Cut. I'm not on green, I'm on my Shinto Gate, and I have to return to Shinto Gate, so that's that. A pretty wasted go for me there. Oh, and already things are starting to heat up. We're now in each other's sides, but because I played a card and discarded a card, I'm down to less cards now. So now, here we go. We are going to draw a card and go again. You can see just how quickly the gameplay goes. Right, okay. I'm not in green. I can change my kami up to 1 branch. I can move. So this is where kind of moving away from them can be really, really useful. But maybe I just need to block. I think I need to block. So I'm going to play my wild block, which is there. Let's see what they play, because they stand a chance of attacking me right now. They're 1x away, so therefore I'm going to go first. So I'm just going to block in front of me, apart from this hex here, as you can see from there. Now my block holds for the entirety of this move. So, apart from the fact, so he's going to turn, yeah. He can't, so he's going to move 1 forward. So he has to move 1 forward, so he can't turn, he's got to move 1 forward. He's It's going to cancel my active card, so if he was to strike me, that wouldn't have actually counted, so that gets cancelled. And he's going to move up on the advantage card. He's already up there on the advantage card. And you can see the reason I played that, it says the top one is up to 2 hexes away, and that's 3+. He was bang next to me. So we've now gone from a position of where I was kind of in control and I thought I was going to get round there. He's suddenly in his prime position. He's got round behind me. He's on my left-hand side. I need to do something about this. So we're going to draw a card again. Here we go. And we'll see what we want to do. Yeah, there was nothing else I could do on my card. No, not at all. So I can move defensive. Here we go. A swift mind. I can move in any direction and rotate. So maybe that's what we'll do, because I need to get back into a position. I want to try and do that fairly quickly. Okay, so we're going to play Swift Mind. Let's see what he does. He's got wild block up to 2 hexes away, so he's blocked. Basically, that's it, and that's going to count for the rest of it. He went first because he's higher up on the advantage. Then it's up to me, so I can move 2 away. So where am I? I'm facing forward, I think. Yeah. So we can move 1, 2 to there, and we can turn as well. Oh, yeah, and then turn 1. So I can move 2 and turn 1. And that's moved me. Now I'm facing him again. Suddenly we're there in this position. I don't have red cami, don't have green cami, so they don't happen. I can draw up to 2 cards, so 1 and 2. This is really good. So I'm back to my full complement of 5 cards. And you can see this is zipping along at a pace, but nobody's struck a blow yet. Draw another card. Okay. So now we kind of want to try and get him now, and I want to do it fairly quickly. So I think I'm going to dash down strike would work. That would block. If I get him with a pommel strike, that works. But I've got to be ready for him to move in one way or another. I'm going to try dash down strike, and hopefully he gets a card less than 6. Here we go. We got 7. No, 3, because he's more than 1 hex away. So this is good. Right, here we go. So I'm going to do my dash down strike, which is moving 1. I have to move 1 in one direction. I'm facing this way. That means I can move him, and that means I also then deliver 2 wounds to him. So 1 and 2. So remember, his wound limit is 5. I've already got there now. I'm already in a position where I have prime play. So we've done that. That's the end of my move. He's on 3 because it was the start here. So he gets to move 2 away. So therefore he's got to move 2. Remember, he's going to try and get around here. He can't. So now I've got to think about being in the best position for him. And maybe he's going to come round this way. So he'll go 1, 2 to there. And then he's going to turn 2. Well, he only needs to turn 1, which is to there. And now he's on a striking side towards me. So he's always going to try and come towards me. He's always going to try and come round here. If not, he's going to get into an optimal position and try and attack me in one other way. And that's what that's done there. Yowza. Okay. Woohoo. Right. I don't have to discard any cards. I've got 5 in my hand plus my samurai card. It's back onto me. Now, bear in mind he's now right here to my right, so all my strike cards are directly up in front. Or I could move away to him and try and get something, but no, I think what we'll do, unless he goes to the back, we're going to play Wild Block. So we have another Wild Block card, which is there, which blocks me everywhere except here. Let's see what he's going to do. That gives me a speed of 9. He's next to me. That's 2. So it doesn't matter. He's got block on there, 1 hex away, and then he's going to move back 1. So he's going to move to there. So he's blocked. Me, I'm blocked all around. I have to discard a card. So let's see what card we discard. Let's do Firm Hold. There we go. And return my Kai to the Shinto Gate. And that's that. So you can see, you've got this real ballet moving forward. It's a strike, but it's not continuously going for strikes. It's striking, it's moving back, it's reassessing, it's trying to get into prime position. We'll play one more card and see what happens. So draw my card. So what can I do? I could turn around and block. I'm not in any kami. So I have to move one there, then I could move one forward and there. So I'm going to taunt, I'm going to try and bring him out, see what he can do for me. There we go. Oh, so he's got, I am 2 hexes away. He's going to move forward 2 and then rotate 1. Now, so what this means is he can go 1, 2 and rotate, and suddenly he's back in front of me. He's in a good place. He's coming now to try and get me. We were 2 plus hexes away. He's done that. He's suddenly in a good position. So now we come to me. I have to move 1. So I'm going to move there, which gives me a good position. I can move 1 forward, which means bashing into each other, which means a stun, which is not really useful here for me. And then I can rotate 1. So let's rotate that way, just slightly away from him, because he's not going to come down my left-hand side. Then we're going to return to Shinto Gate and that. There we go. Whoa. Right, let's see what happens here. Okay, so what have we got left? Now you can see that I've got some blocks left. He's got to come all this way around here to try and maximise his strikes. So I can block basically anywhere with this card in the 3 in front of me. So 1, 2, 3. So he would have to move 2 to get in a good position. That doesn't give me a strike. That doesn't give me a block. It does in front of me, but it gives me blocks down my right hand side. Okay. So here's what we'll do. We'll play calm defence, which is either a 6 or a 2. And let's see what he's going to do. Okay. 1 hex away. He's on 6. He's going to rotate, move forward and strike, basically. So can he rotate there? So he can rotate there, move forward. So he moves forward 1 to there. And then he's going to strike right in front of him. 1, 2, 3 there. However, he's at a 6. Fortunately, my calm defence gives me a block on the 3 in front of me. 1, 2, 3 at the same speed. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to block his strike. Then I can choose to move forward 1 or 2. So we'll go here, getting back onto my right hand side, and then I rotate 1 as well. And again, he had a strike. It didn't quite land. Oh, this is just beautiful. This is going really, really beautifully for me. Okay, here we go next then. So, final round. Let's see what we do. I'm going to try and get a hit into him, but let's see if it happens. I'll tell you what, we'll give him a chance. We'll try Pommel Smash. So this allows me to directly in front, submit a strike, and it will stun him as well. So let's see. Hopefully he's got a 5 or less. He's got 6, so he has to move 1. Then he rotates, and then he strikes me. So he's got 6. He's higher than my 5. He's got to move 1 to there. He's going to rotate once to there, and then he's going to issue 2 wounds to me. So I've got a couple of wounds. There we go. And now it's my turn. I would strike him straight in front. I would have issued a wound and got a stun, but there's nobody there. So therefore, that didn't work out well for me. We're getting close now. So, okay. So we're both on 2 wounds. Let's see what happens now. Okay. I'm not on any Kami stance. I can't rotate. All I can do is try and move out the way or block myself. Fortunately, he's on my right hand side. So maybe we will do that. Or maybe, yeah, who knows. I think what we'll do is we'll issue a block because I want to try and avoid him. So I'm going to issue circling defence, and he's got horse kick. Now, I'm obviously higher up than here. I'm blocking these 2 adjacent to me and the 1 up in front. That means it's a block. If it's a green Kami, I'm not. So it's just the 2 adjacent to me. So I'm okay on my right hand side. So what I could do is I can move there or there. Right. I've got to move there and there, which means I've got to bash into him and I've got to stun him. So stuns are not good. They affect both players. But a stun, for stun is if 2 samurais collide as a result of a move, the ability card of the player that moved first is immediately cancelled. Okay? So I'm going to bang into him and my card is then done. And both players receive a stun card. Now this stun card goes into my hand and that's going to go into his discard pile there. The player that moved the collision must also discard a card as well. Oh God. Right, okay. So here we go. So I have to discard a card. Can't discard Samurai, remember. One might want to try and get out of his way. One wild swing. We're going to get rid of Quick Stab. There we go. So my cards dwindle, and I've got this stun card which counts towards my card limit and gums up my hand. Oh, I can't get rid of Samurai. I meant Quick Stab. There we go. So I've now got 5 cards here when I can draw one more card. So yeah, that's affected me. I've got a stun card in my hand. The stun card goes into his discard pile, but his card is still active now. So he can rotate. Doesn't have to rotate, he's already at me, and then he's going to strike and stun me again. So, oh no, he's going to push back one. It's not a strike, he's just going to push back one. He can't push me back anywhere because I'm beyond here. So therefore, I'm just going to get stunned. So that's 2 stun cards I've got in my hand now, which is not good. Okay. So let's talk about stun cards. So stun cards go into your hand. It says to draw, you have to draw them to your hand, and it counts towards my hand size. And therefore the only way to get rid of it is to discard it and play it as an ability card. So I'd have to play a stun card, do nothing in the hope that they can't get anything against me to get rid of it from my hand. Okay? Which is bad. So you can see I've already got 2 in there. Things aren't going particularly well. So now I've got to plan my next move. So I'm facing forward. I could play Wild Swing, which will allow me forward or right, and hopefully I'm going to get higher than him. So let's try that. Okay, he's got, next to me, he's 5. I'm up there, Wild Swing. This is really good. Phew. Okay, so I'm going to issue, I can issue to the right, straight in front of me, or there, 2 wounds, which is good for him, 1 and 2. Well, good for me, because he's got 2 wounds, and that's great. I then discard 1 card, and my god, my cards are getting less and less and less. There we go. And I return to my Kai here. Now we go up to here. He could turn if he wanted to, doesn't need to. He could move if he needs to, doesn't need to. And therefore he's going to issue me with a bleeding wound. So therefore I take a bleeding wound here. So this goes in front face up, and it counts as 1 wound. I discard the top card of my deck at the start of my turn. If no card can be discarded, draw 1 wound card. So there we go, which is not good. So that goes there. We'll keep that for the time being. Discard that and that. Discard the top card from here, start of my turn. Draw a card. And let's see what we need to play. Yowza. Okay. I could just go, I've got 1 left. I could go for a quick stab and try and take him down here. So that's what we'll do. We're going to go quick stab. Let's see what happens. Oh, he's going to go quick stab first. So I got 3 wounds. He's going to rotate and take a quick stab right next to me. So I'm going to take yet another wound. That's 4 wounds I've got. However, it's now my turn. I get to issue 1 wound in front of me. He's not there. He didn't move. Yowza, that didn't work out. Oh no. Oh no. So therefore we discard that and that. Discard again because of my bleeding wound. We're both on 4 wounds now. Take another card. Okay, I need to protect myself here. So let's do a river block here, which will then allow me to move, rotate, block and move potentially here. And we'll see what happens. He's on a wild block anyway, so he's going to block. I'm going to block. I can rotate. I could parry there, but we're not on yellow, can I? So I could parry, and then I will have to move. So if I'm going to rotate that way, back up to face him, we're going to then move 1 up here. So he's now on my right hand side. Suddenly, I'm not in a position of threat anymore. You can see the game changing, but I don't have many cards left at all. So I'll draw another card here. Sorry, I should have discarded 1. Draw another card. So then we want to potentially move away, and this is this here. This is going to allow me to move and get some breathing space potentially, as is this one. So we'll go with an evasive step, I think. And he's got 1 hex away. He's going to turn 1. Boom, he's on there, and he's going to deliver the fatal blow to me. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's delivered 5 wounds. That's it. My wounds. I am dead. He's successfully, my card doesn't count anymore, he got there. You can see this constant to and fro, and I thought I was off to a really good start. Now, at this stage, if I wasn't dead, what you would do for him is you take all his cards, shuffle them back up, and then you would draw out again. But of course, remember he's got a couple of stun cards in there. Basically, oops, where's that stun card? It's there. He's got a couple of stun cards in there. So bear in mind that he's going to pull out the stun cards at some point, and there are also solo AI stun cards as well as your own stun cards. I've just used our own stun cards for this so you can see where they are, but there are solo AI stun cards, so you can't tell them from the card back. So he's got a couple of stun cards in there. If that was to happen, he wouldn't be able to take his turn. That, ladies and gentlemen, was a very quick solo game of Senjutsu Battle for Japan against a solo AI. Wow, did you see how fast that played? And bear in mind, I was explaining my moves as I went along and explaining how the game works as I went along. You can see that each game is going to take somewhere in the region of kind of 10, 15, 20 minutes, depending on how it goes. And the potential winner is based on some of the decisions that you make early game, which cards you got rid of, which cards you need to keep in your hand. Cycling through the deck, of course, having the Bleeding Wound card didn't help me in any way, shape or form as well. I was going through my deck quick. By the end of that game, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 cards were left in my deck. Of course, he was just about to get to the stage where he was going to shuffle his cards as well. The beauty in the game, as I mentioned earlier, is this Zen-like approach, this really kind of measuring up your strategies, kind of working them out, thinking which cards you need to play, what may my opponent do, how may I counteract that, or potentially try and get in there quickly. Now, I played a couple of cards more for effect there so that we could see kind of the resolution of the battle and see us both striking each other, but there is real joy in kind of trying to understand what cards are here, what cards may be in the solo deck, working out what's come out already, what may come out in your hand, and how you can best use those. That is in the pre-designed decks. Now, bear in mind, I did say that this also has a deck construction in it as well, and there are a number of cards, and you will choose up to 40 cards of varying kind of categories on those cards, and you'll start to make your own decks, and I think that is just absolutely wonderful. I mean, as you saw from the gameplay, it's a pure joy to play. It's a smart puzzle. When you think about the greats of positional play, a game like, I don't know, Hoplomachus, this fits right into that. It's almost a condensed version of what happens with Hoplomachus, but with some really, really, really clever card play as well. And I think to hold this up against Hoplomachus is both kind of a real tribute to just how good this game is and how good Hoplomachus is as well. And this really does rank up there in me for kind of top of the tier, first rate positional play arena combat games. I think it's a really, really smart idea. Okay then, final thoughts on Senjutsu Battle for Japan by Stone Sword Games, designed by Paul David Allen and by James Faulkner. Look, this is still in development stage and still in prototype stage, and if you were just to receive this, you'd be very, very happy. The guys are planning so much more for this as well, though. There are a number of miniatures, there is additional fighters coming out, there's going to be a solo AI pack for each and every character in the game. There's going to be a solo campaign. They're talking about things like terrain that you can put on the board as well. They're going to give a tournament case, so I can really see kind of speed Senjutsu and Senjutsu tournaments coming out as people craft their decks and really try and take it to the next level and match their wits against each other. I think there is a lot of scope in this game, and already it is right at the top of my games that I want to continue playing. I can't tell you just how pleased I was to initially get called over to Nottingham to play the game, and then to get the preview copy as well and be part of the preview process on this. I am truly blown away by just how good this game is. It's a game that constantly hits my table. I set it up, even if I just want to play for 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is, you know, maybe I want to play a couple of games, I'll set it up in no time at all and I will play it. I think the ability, roll back a little bit, I think that the starting decks are very good, but sooner or later you get to understand what cards are in there. So I think the ability to then craft your own deck is really good. Same with the solo AI deck. You're going to get used to those solo AIs, but they're also going to include AI modifiers as well to increase the difficulty on the solo decks, as well as I mentioned, the ability to set 2 or more solo AIs up against you and play off this massive battle against other AIs. It doesn't really put a foot wrong, this game. I think, you know, when you play a game like this, you don't want a long, drawn-out process. You want to get into a position where you're trying to maximise stuff. But bear in mind that first strike, just because you've drawn first blood, does not mean that you're going to win the battle. It's sometimes a bit of a slow and steady race, trying to build up and maximise your hand, maybe cycle through some cards as you're trying to get the right cards into your hand to deliver those final blows. And you know, you get to the end of the game and you deliver a strike which gets 2 blows and that's all you need. That's a really good feeling. But all the time this clever AI is trying to circle around you, trying to get into the best position possible, trying to make it so they can strike you and get where you can't block them. The advantage card is a really good idea as well. I really like the idea of kind of cycling who goes first when the numbers are there, and making sure that you get priority. That becomes an important part for you. We didn't even touch on things like parry as well, and using those cards that you can use in terms of instant cards, playing after another card. So I could double down on some of my cards, or maybe replace some of the cards there by using the instant instant logo as well, which I didn't do, but I really just want to show you how the base game plays. That is in the base game, but I just want to show you how the game plays just using the cards as they are. And I think that is really smart as well, is that your deck is not just your deck, your hand is not just your hand. You get these wonderful combinations that you can work therein, and you know, using the adaptive block system as well makes perfect thematic sense. If they're doing a quick strike and you have got a slow block, then you're going to miss it. Same if they're doing a slow block and you've got a quick slow strike, you do a quick block, you're going to miss it. But having those 2 range of numbers absolutely allows you to kind of, on some of them, allows you to kind of block those as it goes along. It is an utterly fantastic game. Really looking forward to when the Kickstarter launches on the 19th of October. Again, link will be down below. Really interested in seeing where Paul and James go with this game as well, because as I say, what we're seeing here is barely scratching the surface. What they've announced in terms of what they're looking to do with the Kickstarter, all the additional stuff that they're going to add to it, really adds scope to it, and it's a game that will grow and will evolve. And I think that, you know, the minis, I know some people like standees, but the minis, they're not surplus. They really give thematic heft and weight to the game as well. So in a way that, you know, something like Primal, if you saw my Primal video, when that comes out, you've got the big mini there, and many people were saying that doesn't need the mini. Because this is positional, and because each one is kind of going in the way that they need to go, you want them on there. You want the game to evoke this feeling of kind of feudal Japan, and that's exactly what Senjutsu Battle for Japan does. So, thank you very much for joining me on this preview of Senjutsu Battle for Japan by Stone Sword Games, designed by Paul David Allen and James Faulkner. It's a stone cold recommendation from Nutboard Gaming for Senjutsu Battle for Japan. I really cannot recommend this game highly enough. I think as a solo player, as a multiplayer, there is just so much enjoyment to be had, not only out of what you see here, but out of what's got to come in the future. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me on that video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Check out our other videos. If you're interested in looking at this table that Senjutsu's on, this is the Stowy table. It's coming to Kickstarter in Q1 next year, so check out the link for Stowy as well. Yeah, thank you very much for joining me. One final thought is, if you can't find anybody else to play with, there's nothing wrong with playing with yourselves. Until next time, bye-bye.